Evening all, and welcome back to Kerbalism. We are here at the North Pole, which we've just drove over there. You can see from the weird camera angles, so the North Pole's about here. And we're here because we're going to deploy some science experiments, and I just wanted to put some here because reasons, I suppose. I don't really have a proper excuse for it. We have a new land scientific experiment type thing that we can use, and I wanted to use it, so we're going to, basically. So let's have a look-see on how we do this, because it's been a little while since I've used these. So we need the equipment station, we need power, and we need a communitron, don't we? So let's get the equipment station out first. And I'm not going to put it exactly on the North Pole, because I feel as if that would be a bit of a mistake. From what I understand, it causes issue, or it used to cause issues if you go to the North Pole, like run a Kerbal on top of it. It actually causes them to have some problems. But yeah, that'll do. Space, boom. And we just need to deploy the bits we've got. You see, I'm just running across, and we're already getting the camera's pointing directly at the North Pole. So let's lock that open. And we will get all these experiments out and deployed. Get some electrics going. Closes her inventory. That's interesting. But we've got plenty of solar panels as well. I brought 2 boxes. You see they're hidden away underneath the cross in the belly of the craft. We've got 2 boxes there. One to do the science experiments on them, and one with just solar panels. Just lots upon lots of solar panels, because I kind of figured that would be a good idea. That'll do. Yeah, I'll set all these up. We shall come back and we shall start these going, and we'll figure out what exactly we're gonna do for this episode. Okay, science deployed and running. Not gonna give us a great deal of science, but not really the point. Just nice and happy we've got them all down there. We do have a new experiment, the seismic one, so yeah. None of this do is fly back home, and it's got 12 minutes of fuel, but we'll get a bit further up in the air, and hopefully we can make it back. Okay, one successful trip to the moon. The North Pole even. That's because I was staring at the moon on the flight back. Didn't know where it is now, but yeah. So, what I'm trying to achieve here is that I want to buy nuclear reactors, one of these 2 here, but I also want the ISRUs here, or the convertitron, just so we can create fuel. Gives us a few more science tanks as well, which is quite awesome. But yeah, so we can drill for fuel and create fuel, because I don't think Kethane is going to ever be updated. If I'm honest with you, I think it's let me just quickly Kethane here. Let's have another look at this. The last update for it was a very long time ago. Let me have a quick browse through here. Oh, It was posted the 24th of September that Tanawa was looking at maybe updating it, but there's just been nothing for it at all, and it doesn't work. It seemed to work when you import it, and it seems to be okay, but you can't scan. It doesn't show you the discs on the planet, so we're going to go with Kerbalism's way of doing it, but we're going to add a nuclear reactor into it, so it's got some power to actually do something, so we can mine and drill and do stuff and set up an offline base. But as I said, to get this, we need 550, which we can unlock right now. Boom, let's unlock that. There we go, and we've got some new processes and things like that unlocked. But to get this, we need 300, and we have 206. So that's what I'm going for. That's what I'm going for. We could now actually start producing fuel, but the power requirements for this is ridiculous. Yeah, the power requirements for it are really, really, really mad. Not that I even know where it's actually in utility, I think. Yeah. The convertitron. Ba-boom. If we bring up the electric charge here, if we turn on the water electrolysis and the saboteur process, which produces just liquid fuel, that's not actually going to... Oh no, hang on. The saboteur process, what does that one do? Let's have a quick look here. Hydrogen carbon to produce water and liquid fuel. Okay. Well, we don't want you to dump the liquid fuel, we want you to dump the water. Right, and then we would have to put a tank on here because it needs to actually have somewhere to go. And we would also need to have some form of water to break down there. Configure tank to be... Oh, we also need hydrogen and oxygen as well, so let's do that. So we need hydrogen and oxygen tanks, turn them down. Then we need some form of water tank, which we can just supply with that. We can configure that to be water. There we go. Okay. So this would break down the water into hydrogen and oxygen, which for some reason both of these are now oxygen. That's not what I wanted. I wanted it to be hydrogen. Thank you very much. Bring it down. There we go. And you'll see here that it says duration 0. Now that we've actually got somewhere to put it, duration is 0. Just we have no whatsoever. Our largest power bank is 2,500. 11 seconds. So it would use, let's get rid of that 50 charge there. Yeah, so it uses 216 electric charge per second just to convert that into liquid fuel and oxidizer. And it's not a quick process either. Not a quick process whatsoever. The water electrolysis is the big thing. That's the big sort of thing that causes so much for it. But it produces nitrogen, hydrogen and oxygen, and here you take and these carbon dioxide as well, which we don't actually have on here, which we could get. Yeah, let's quickly add that. Configure to be carbon dioxide. There we go. So we need to take some carbon dioxide with us wherever we go, whatever we do. And that will produce liquid fuel now, I think. What's it need? It needs electric charge, carbon dioxide and hydrogen. Yeah. Well, it's not running yet because it doesn't know we have any hydrogen. So let's give it a little tiny bit of hydrogen, like so. So it can actually start doing things. You see our water goes up to be petrol then. But that adds the electricity there. But I say it produces 0.045 per second if it can get the 1,249 hydrogen. It can't do that because we're getting 90 a second. So a little tiny bit of math there. 1,200 and we'll say 50 because it's an even number. Divided by 90 means we need to wait 13 seconds before we can produce 0.45 liquid fuel. And this holds 270, and this is not a great big tank. So if we're doing 0.045, 0.045 times 60, that means we're getting 2.7 a minute. Which means we need 100 minutes to fill this tank up here, and that's running at optimal speed. No, that's running at this speed here. So you need 100 minutes. You need an hour and a half to fill up that little tank there. So it's not a quick process at all, and that's assuming you can run this at full whack, because you then also need the drills doing things and the drills mining stuff up, and then you will use up your carbon dioxide because you use a fair bit of that. And you can't produce carbon dioxide that easily that I know of. There may be a way to do it with a chemical plant, I'm not sure. Let's see. Produces ammonia, produces carbon dioxide. Waste oxygen, small exhaust it. It takes waste and oxygen. But it takes more oxygen than the... No, it takes less oxygen than the water electrolysis makes, that's okay. But you need waste to do that. Waste compressor, anthraquinone process. That produces oxidizer, so that's something else you need as well. It's a very realistic system. It's a proper system where you set up a base, you'd have multiple of these doing things, and it would start producing fuel, and it's not a quick process. The issue I have with it is it just takes a while for my brain to get around exactly what's working here. This is the one, the molten regolith. That just basically takes ore, so you just mine up any old ore, and it produces carbon dioxide. So you can make a self-sufficient system, I believe. Not entirely sure on that there, but I think you can make a self-sufficient system. We do have the drain plugs, don't we? Or have I not logged them yet? Don't remember. Drain. No, we do have the drain plugs. Wonder if they're compatible with Kerbalism. Put it on there. Yes, it can drain. Ah, right. So I could put drain plugs on either of these ones here. So if one of them fills up, we can just get rid of it. We can just drop off the oxygen or the hydrogen or whatever, you know, the carbon dioxide. We can just get rid of it. So that works. So what we need is one of these doing unfortunately you can't set them to nothing, which is you need one of these doing like molten regolith. You can put both of them to the same thing and then you only get one option, so it basically becomes a single use thing. So that's brilliant. So you've got one that would be breaking down ore, so we'd have to mine up ore, and that would break it down, that would produce oxygen and carbon dioxide. We'd have another drill mining water, and that would break it down into hydrogen and oxygen, so we'd have to get rid of some oxygen somewhere. We can set these to dump oxygen as well, which is fine. So yeah, so you can set it so, you know, dump oxygen basically means carry on going, and if there's no space for oxygen, just keep going. Fine. And dumping shielding as well is probably the best thing to do there. So shielding and oxygen, there we go. So that one would take ore and produce carbon dioxide for us and a bit of oxygen. We then need another one that breaks down the water, and then a third one that produces the liquid fuel and oxidizer. You could do it in two. I suppose you could do it in two. Let's put it down there. I'm going to try and figure this out on camera. That's what I'm going to try and do here. So let's start again. Don't save. There we go. So what we want, we need It doesn't have to be. It can be a probe. It does not have to be a an actual thing. So I'm going to start with the lander cam with a probe on top, just because it makes sense in my head. And we're going to get under utility, if I can remember where it is. Yeah, there it is. You can use the smaller ones, they're just slower. In fact, they've only got one slot. Here's a question. Do you work at exactly the same pace? Oh wait. Wait. You take 89. No, you don't. You work at a much slower pace. Okay. But that's an option. We can use them. We need 4 of them because you're going to use 1 slot per thing. And then getting the numbers balanced would be alright. Let's give that a try. Actually, let's use the little ones to start with, and I'll show you how this process works because it's in depth. A lot of you have probably already done this and already seen what's what with it, but I'll show it anyway. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I've just realised this is already flawed. Yeah, let's not do that way because it's going to be awkward to figure out. So let's do that right. So we need 4 of these, don't we? So 1. That's not going to work either. Right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, go level. And we need 2 drills as well. So we need a drill-o-matic which produces, well, we need any drills whatsoever, but we do need 2 of them. So we'll put 1 there, and we'll put 1 there. And the reason we need 2 is because we need 1 that does water and 1 that's doing ore. Okay. So let's turn that on. Let's turn that on. So we're going to need somewhere to store that ore and store the water. That's our first port of call here. We need ore tank. Where are the ore tanks? I thought they were in. Oh, they are. They've got a small holding tank. So you're for the. Are you water? We'll put you that side. That's storing the ore. And then we need water, which will be on this side here. And for some reason we can't configure these pressurized tanks to be water. It's odd in my head. Not sure why. These can be water, but they're not really. Oh, they are quite large actually. Ooh, configure. Food, water. There we go. Right, so a little tiny bit in there. A little tiny bit in there. We need a little bit to simulate the program here. I'm sorry, this episode is going to be a lot of talking and a lot of explanation, but I hope you'll see why. So we've got our ore, we've got our water going. So let's deploy those so that they emulate in here. So how much electricity we're using? Awesome. And then we want to break down our water and break down our ore. So we'll configure this one to be water electrolysis, which is doing there. Awesome. Start that one there. But you will need a water tank and an oxygen tank. So let's give you an oxygen tank. and you, is it just, it's oxygen and hydrogen, sorry, you need a hydrogen tank as well. Configure, need hydrogen, bring it down to one little bit, there we go. Okay, so you're producing oxygen and hydrogen, right. And then this one on this end is going to be the MRE, which takes or produces oxygen, which we now have a storage for, as well as carbon dioxide and shielding. Now we can dump the shielding, so we'll ignore that for the minute. We're dumping the shielding, but we do need to store carbon dioxide, as that is required for other things as well. There we go. And in the center here, we are going to have this one do the saboteur process, which takes hydrogen and carbon dioxide and produces liquid fuel and a bit of water. And this one is going to be the anthraquinone process, which takes hydrogen and oxygen and produces oxidizer. Pretty much in even amounts there. So there you go. Right. So we are using, with the smaller convertitrons here, we're using 96 a second to produce all the things we need. And hold on, I haven't even turned these on. Let's try that, shall we? Start, and running. Okay, there we go. So we're using now 168.9. Now there's nowhere for the fuel to go, so let's add that. The reason you have to add the tanks is that if you don't, let's get one of those. That's just standard. That's your standard orange tank. Anyway, if you don't add somewhere for these things to go here, it doesn't actually run the process, because it just goes, oh, you've got nowhere to put anything. So yeah. So there we go. So we can turn these off. And we can turn the habitat off as well, can't we? Nope, we can't, because there are Kerbals in there. Get rid of the Kerbals. Turn off the habitat. There we go. So that's our probe core. Okay. So communications command is a standard thing. Water electrolysis, saboteur, molten regolith, and apparently anthraquinone isn't running. Why is that? Whereas hydrogen and oxygen. Well, you've got oxygen. You've got hydrogen. You're not producing oxidizer. Interesting. There is oxygen there. There is hydrogen there. I think it's figuring out that this is going to be using 500 hydrogen a second. So this isn't going to get any. The anthraquinone process is not going to get any, because there's just not enough being produced for it. So that's what I think it's figuring out there. So if I disable that one, this should probably say, no, it still says harvester. Interesting. That's very interesting. So saboteur process is running, but the anthraquinone process is not, which is odd. Why is that not running? Why is that not being simulated? Oh, very strange. I don't know. But so anthraquinone process. That doesn't take electricity. That's why I can't see it on there. It doesn't use electricity. You just literally mix them together. Dull. Okay. So we need 168 electricity a second, which is easily doable with the nuclear reactor, and that's not a problem. But, as pointed out, this requires almost 500 carbon dioxide a second. This produces 36 hydrogen a second. So, in order to get this running at anywhere near capacity, and also requires 125 oxygen, carbon dioxide, sorry, I'm misreading everything here, and this produces 0.1. So yeah, as you can see, you're going to set this up and it's going to be running for days upon days upon days, and trying to figure out the actual numbers of how many convertitrons you would require to get enough carbon dioxide and enough hydrogen to match the 500 required here. And bearing in mind these are the small ones, the larger ones aren't twice as many, they're a magnitude more than that. So this is a process that you basically would send this up, plug it in, let it run, and come back to it a year later to get some fuel out of it. It's a great process, it's very realistic, and I like that it's like that, but unfortunately it just doesn't seem to fit with the other things of Kerbal Space Program. It's just too slow. You could edit the configs to make it faster, that is possible, but yeah, I think I will go and set something like this up. I don't see any reason why not. That doesn't change the requirements for it. But I'll need to look at the actual numbers and try and figure out the balance. Try and figure out some way to get this chemical plant, so 500 hydrogen, let's just look at hydrogen, 500 hydrogen plus 72, so 572 hydrogen a second we need to produce. And the small one produces 36. So let me so it's going to be 572 divided by 36. We would need 15.8, 16 of these chemical plants, all running at full capacity, to catch up with that one chemical plant and that one there. 16 of those. What about the big ones? What if we configure this to just have water electrolysis, nothing else? That produces 90. So we need 6.5 of these, the large ones. 6.5 large ones, just producing water, just doing water electrolysis to keep up with that one. And let's say 6, so it starves it a little tiny bit here. But 216 times 6 is 1,300-ish electric charge a second. Do you see where I'm going with this? Why you need a nuclear reactor for it? Water electrolysis is just awful, absolutely awful, and there's no way to get hydrogen elsewhere. You can't just mine it out of rocks, because pretty much all the liquid in space is in water form, it's in ice form. So yeah, so that's so 1,300 electricity just to get enough water being broken down to hydrogen oxygen to make this one convertitron run at full power, which will produce 0.018 a second. 0.018 times 60 gives us one fuel a minute. 2,088 minutes. So it's 1.08. So let's go 2,880. Oh, 2880 divided by 1.08. That's 2,667 minutes. That's 44 hours. It's almost 2 days at running at full capacity to fill that tank up. Now, that's not bad. 2 days at full capacity to fill up an orange tank isn't too bad. Now that's our time. That's 24 hours. And you've got to remember, a Kerbal time is divided by 6 hours. So if I go 44 hours, that's 7.4. That's basically a Kerbal week. 7.4 days, Kerbal days, to produce that, to fill that tank up. Which again isn't bad when you consider it takes you 5 days to get to the moon. Well, it takes you 5 days to get there and back again. So, yeah. Yeah, so if you set this up on the moon or Mimbus, not so bad. It takes 9 days to get to Mimbus, so you could fill a tank up by the time you get there, and a full orange tank is going to take you a long way. So, yeah, that's not bad. But you would actually require, and I am talking a lot, and this episode's gone on longer than I intended, so I am sorry about all the theory crafting here, but you get it. So it's 0.72 water a second, and you would produce, I don't know how much water, so you're perpetual, and that's because this is also producing water, isn't it? Yeah. Don't actually know how much the mining drill produces. Does it tell me here? Nitrogen or urine, water extraction. Minimum abundance is 1%. Extraction rate is extraction rate is 0.015 at 10% abundance. Okay. And you need 0.072. So you need 50% abundance. Yeah, you would need 50% abundance in order for that one drill to be able to keep up with one convertitron. And we need 6 or 7 convertitrons, so we need 7 drills with all the cooling, with everything. It's a lot. I'm sure there are people out there that have figured out the exact numbers required for this, but that's a rough, off the top of my head, showing you here what goes on with it. But it's an in-depth process. It's something I would really like to do and launch and get going. So I think we'll come back next episode. That is, I've got caps lock turned on, that's spelled badly, but I don't care. So yeah, so we'll come back next episode, and we will deal with our Dres maneuver. We'll deal with this one here. We have a dual transfer window. I might send a probe up for that as well. And we have a Moho window in 100 days. So we'll do up to Joule, I think, and then see how we are for our science. See whether we can get to that extra points there, because now our North Pole base is also going to do things. We've also unlocked some other science, didn't we? This gives us, it doesn't actually say. Oh, it gives us a new land one. Typical. We've got Gravioli detector, so that's okay. Oh yeah, we've got a the ocean versions of these as well, which only pump water, but can run over oceans. So that's pretty good. They are really good for running there. So we could set up a thing on Kerbal. There's no real point. Free fuel is not that expensive, really. This is more for, we send a ship up. To get out of Kerbal's gravity well is a lot. To get into space costs a lot of fuel. If we can then refuel it in orbit from a depot here, we haven't got to worry about it so much. So yeah. But yes, we've got one new experiment I suppose I could go and do. And yeah, so we'll do these, we'll do that, that's the plan, and then we'll see, once we get our 300 mark, we will put the nuclear reactor on it, we'll launch it off, we'll go to Mimbus with it, plonk it down somewhere, hope we can get decent abundance. We would need to find out how to do this. Wow, why is that? Oh, we've got, those lines are huge. Mimbus. Oh wow, we've got a lot going on, that's why. Are you talking to every... I think you're talking to every point on Kerbal at once. Yeah, I don't currently have any way of knowing where things are on a place. I mean, we have got resource scanners. Do they show you? Let's go there. This episode's gone on way too long. I do apologise, but we're learning. Yeah, so we've had the resource scanner. That is gone. Ah, and that should show that actually should show us. So if we go into map mode, oh, hold on. Dirt, exotic materials, gypsum, hydrates. Oh, we can toggle the overlay. Does that show us on here, or does that show us on the map view? I never know. Carbonite. See, this shows us all sorts of things. Water. No survey data is available for Mimbus. Why? Why? Data. Auto. Confused. Confused I am. Very confused I am. We have completed the Mimbus. Cover what? Huh? What? Why? Okay, I will have a look at that. I'm wondering whether it's because we're not in the correct height for it. We actually brought ourselves down much lower. So we need to be up to the correct height before we can get that information. That would be a little annoying. We could do it, but yeah. But I need to find a good site to land on Mimbus and figure that all out and bits and pieces and oh dear. So yeah, we shall come back next time and do all that. And let's talk more play. But I hope you understand why I've sort of gone through that there. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't, I don't know, but I had to go through the process and relearn it because the last time I actually did field extraction with Kerbalism, I was writing my own profile, so it was a long time ago. So we'll leave this here and come back next time. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed one. I hope to see you again next time, and until then, as always, have fun.